In a tidy suburban community where every flower bed was regulated and every mailbox identical, residents trusted their HOA to keep order. Notices appeared in mailboxes regularly, reminding homeowners of dues and guidelines. But then, new fines began arriving strange, unexpected, and unusually harsh. A homeowner down the street was fined for improper curtain colors, another for lawn watering schedules. None remembered these rules. The letters carried the HOA's name, stamped with authority, and signed by someone calling themselves Community Compliance Officer. But the HOA had no such officer. Suspicion quietly began to stir. At first, no one dared to question the new enforcement. Fear of escalating penalties kept neighbors silent. Payments were slipped into envelopes and mailed to an unfamiliar P.O. box believed to be official. The officer operated smoothly, slipping notices under doors, taping violations to garages, and even patrolling the neighborhood in a vest marked with bold letters. From a distance, it looked official enough. But whispers spread at backyard barbecues and evening strolls. Some wondered why violations had increased so suddenly, while others suspected the HOA was tightening its grip. Still, no one knew the truth yet. The scheme grew bolder. The so-called officer issued warnings for invisible offenses, unapproved fence repairs or noise disturbances that no one recalled making. Homeowners grew restless, questioning each other but never confronting the source. The fake officer carried clipboards, snapped photos of driveways, and gestured with the authority of someone who belonged. The illusion held strong, fueled by fear and confusion. But as fines piled up, homeowners began to notice inconsistencies. Official HOA letters usually bore letterhead and board signatures, yet these documents seemed hastily typed, with no contact numbers to call for appeal. The cracks began to show. The unraveling started when one homeowner, frustrated after paying hundreds, brought a notice to the actual HOA board. The board was shocked. No fines for curtain colors or watering schedules existed in their records. The signature of the community compliance officer was a forgery, attached to rules the HOA had never passed. Panic spread among the board. Realizing someone was impersonating their authority, an emergency meeting was called, and word spread quickly. Neighbors compared their notices, stacking them into piles of fraudulent fines. Outrage grew, and the hunt for the impostor suddenly became the neighborhood's obsession. The neighbors banded together, watching closely for the mysterious enforcer. They spotted him pacing the sidewalks, clipboard in hand, stopping to photograph houses, wore a reflective vest with HOA enforcement crudely stenciled across it. To those who hadn't paid attention before, it looked official. But now, with suspicion raised, his costume seemed more like a disguise. Residents began snapping photos, documenting his movements. Some followed from a distance, noting the times he appeared and the streets he targeted. The false authority that once kept them silent now fueled determination. The community was no longer fooled. They were preparing for confrontation. The impostor grew reckless, perhaps emboldened by months of success. He started issuing outrageous fines, thousands of dollars for trivialities like garden decorations or children's bicycles left in driveways. When residents ignored the demands, he left threatening notes, warning of legal action and foreclosure. But the fear that once silenced homeowners was gone. Now eyes watched him from every window. One evening, a neighbor followed him to his car, capturing the license plate. The pieces clicked together. The man was not a board member, nor an HOA employee. He was just another homeowner, hiding behind forged authority. The evidence poured in. Photos of the fake vest, copies of fraudulent notices, even footage of him stuffing envelopes into his mailbox. The HOA board, furious at the impersonation, prepared to act. But homeowners, equally enraged, demanded accountability. Meetings turned heated, as neighbors debated whether to call law enforcement or confront him directly. Some wanted immediate arrest, others feared retaliation. The impostor, meanwhile, seemed oblivious to how close he was to being exposed. His fake empire of fines was crumbling, and the community he once controlled with fear was now uniting against him. The final confrontation loomed. The truth came crashing down when police, armed with the evidence gathered by neighbors, arrived at his door. The false officer was confronted, his stash of fake notices, clipboards, and vests uncovered in plain sight. Shock rippled through the community as the man was led away, his scheme exposed, It collected thousands in fraudulent fines, exploiting the fear of HOA power. But in the end, his downfall united the neighborhood. Trust in the HOA was shaken, yet neighbors felt stronger, bound by shared vigilance. And the fake officer's legacy lingered, a warning of how easily fear can be manipulated.